Voters are making their voices heard all across the country, and results from these midterm elections could have a huge say in America's future policies and priorities. Local 24 News reporter Mark Meredith is live at our exclusive Washington, D.C. bureau tonight. Mark, the balance of power in Congress up in the air for at least a few more hours until we start getting returns.
That's right, Richard. In fact, some polls have just closed within the last few minutes, but we're going to get a better idea of where things stand about an hour from now as more polls close along the East Coast. We're going to try to look to that, try to get an idea of what the rest of the night is going to be, because as you were just talking about, Democrats and Republicans have put a lot of money and resources into these races. They have a lot on the line, but perhaps it's President Trump that has the most to bet on tonight. It's the scene playing out all across the country. People waiting in line, voting on what matters to them.
Because I'm not on the ballot, but will they go? But in a way, I am on the ballot, and I would accept that.
President Trump told us he's optimistic Republican voters will turn out in droves to embrace his agenda. The president will spend election night at the White House watching the results in the residence. This year, 35 Senate seats and all 435 House seats are up for grabs.
Today, every second is about winning this election.
Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, who hopes to become Speaker if Democrats win the House, will watch the results unfold at a Washington hotel. Former Vice President Joe Biden says the stakes could not be any higher.
This is the single most important off-year election in my lifetime.
Experts say it's also become the most expensive midterm election ever. The Center for Responsive Politics estimates $5 billion has been spent on ads, events, and polling. Political analyst Gary Nordlinger says whatever the results, count on President Trump to stay the course.
Trump has gotten enough confidence in his presidency to be Donald Trump.
As for what the results will be, experts say that depends on turnout and what issues voters decide matter most to them. We're getting an idea of exactly what those issues are thanks to some exit polling. The Associated Press basically asking people as they leave polling places around the country. The early results that we're seeing is that immigration was one of the biggest topics that voters were thinking about, as was health care. Now, these are going to be interesting to kind of decipher it once we get the results to see which message was stronger, which one worked, and of course, Richard, which one drove people out to the polls the most.
All right, Mark, I want to ask you a Tennessee question. Our Senate race has been described as a firewall for Republicans tonight. How would you describe the attention being paid to the Blackburn-Bredesen contest where you are?
Well, I certainly think the White House didn't want to take any chances. We've seen President Trump as well as the vice president on the stump all across Tennessee the last couple of weeks. But I think what we're also going to be waiting to see is the results will indicate what kind of candidate and message really sat with voters. Do they want somebody that's more in the partisan mold that we've heard from some of the rhetoric that's been on the trail, or are they looking more for the moderate level of candidate that is out there? I think Tennessee will be a very interesting litmus test for the rest of the country, but basically the South. What does this mean for future races in the South going forward? Richard?
Very good. Appreciate your time. Thank you, Mark, for joining us tonight from Washington. Now, all night, your local election headquarters will stay on top of the biggest races, issues, and bring you the latest results on air and online. Starting at 8, we're going to kick things off with a new digital-only broadcast on localmemphis.com featuring analysis from our panel of experts. Then join Katina and me at 9 and at 10 on Local 24 News for special live up-to-the-minute coverage of all the election returns.